Splatoon is full of many different weapons, sub-weapons, and special weapons. The cool part is that there are plenty of setups available that encourage different playing styles. Whether you prefer splatting your opponents up front or from a distance, there's bound to be a few weapons that you'll click with. With that said, the weapons that I picked for this countdown aren't necessarily the best weapons to use in Splatoon, nor is this a list that contains balanced picks in order to please everyone. It just wouldn't make sense for me to pick weapons that I am clearly terrible with. These selections are more of my personal favorites that currently reflect my overall playing style. Anyway, let's get started with my top 5 Splatoon weapons. With its fast firing rate and a focused attack that rewards good aim, the n-zap 85 is one of my main go-to weapons. With this setup, I rely on mobility and catching opponents off guard. If my opponents are out of direct firing range, I can always use splat bombs that come with this setup for that extra reach. The n-zap 85 is also equipped with the echolocator, which tracks down opponents once your special is charged up. Knowing the exact location of your enemies is key to victory after all, and I knew that was the case when I was on a team with 2 others who had the same weapon setup equipped. Seriously, having constant echolocator was kind of ridiculous. Being one step ahead of the other team combined with the agile nature of the setup makes the n-zap 85 a pretty fun weapon for me to use. Until the making of this video, I honestly wasn't even thinking about including the Aerospray RG. I see a lot of people using it online, and I'm kind of one of those people that likes to break against the norm. But because I wanted to cover all my bases, I broke my stubbornness and tried it for the first time. Let's just say that it feels like it's almost impossible to get a bad score with this, even if I'm on the losing team. With that being said, it's definitely a weapon that specializes in covering turf because of its fast fire rate, good spread, and low ink consumption. On the flip side, it's definitely not my favorite weapon to use for splatting opponents, especially with its weak range. You're guaranteed to get some hits off if you get caught off by your opponent, but it's more likely that you're going to get out-muscled by other weapons more specialized to attacking enemies directly. So most of the time if I get attacked by someone up close, I just spray and pray that my opponent doesn't know how to aim properly. Sure, this setup is equipped with the ink mine, but I honestly don't even use it. I just save up my special meter for the deadly ink strike. But when it comes to pure results, the Aerospray RG is undeniably the best weapon to rack up points and money if you prefer to play regular battle over ranked battle. The Slosher is probably my favorite weapon to use in ranked mode. Its attack pattern travels in an arc, and it arguably has the best spread in the game. This makes it extremely useful when you're attacking the other team from tough angles that would normally be impossible with other weapons. I feel like these situations pop up the most when you're playing tower control. It also only requires about 2 hits to take down an opponent with the Slosher, making it a very effective weapon to attack people directly with. It's also equipped with burst bombs for those pesky situations where you're just out of range, and the ink strike is always useful. So yeah, the Slosher is definitely one of the more satisfying weapons to use, because after all, there's nothing like getting sloshed. I'm sorry, that was terrible. The 52 gal deco is very similar to the n-zap 85 with its short range and focused line of fire. But at least the way I see it, the 52 gal deco setup is more suited to attacking at the front lines than the n-zap 85 is. You can splat opponents faster with it because of its strength, and you can apply really strong pressure with Seekers down narrow pathways. But since it has a slower firing rate, I wouldn't recommend this weapon for turfing alone. As a result, it's a weapon setup that I tend to use a lot more in ranked mode, and it works out well for me. Oh, I almost forgot. Ink strike. I use it a lot if you haven't noticed. What? Don't judge me. Out of all the weapons available, the Splattershot Pro is my favorite of them all. This one is basically the assault rifle of Splatoon, meaning that it's more suited to hunting down opponents from a distance. With a lower fire rate that consumes more ink compared to other automatics, being able to aim at your opponents well is key to its usefulness. The Splattershot Pro is a pretty versatile weapon that holds its own in many situations, unlike other weapons suited to fighting from a range. With that being said, it's not the greatest for close range battles because of its low fire rate, so maintaining a distance from your enemies is very important. You're sure to have the advantage if you bait your opponent into long narrow paths and open areas. And if the angle is tough, you always have splat bombs on your side. Nope, and don't forget Ink Strike.